Welcome to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
So welcome back to our ALE review series practice quiz, and we have now part 2 of our history and theory of architecture. So this time we are focusing on the theory of architecture part. So once again, instructions before proceeding, you can get a piece of paper and write down the numbers 1 to 30 para mamaya prepared na kayo for every question kapag ready na kayo sa quiz. For every question, write down the corresponding letter of your best choice from the multiple choice. And at the end of the quiz, count the total correct answers and then check the category kung saan kabilang yung total scores niya. Okay? So if you are now ready with the quiz, we can now start. Number 1. Which type of balance in the principles of design where elements are arranged equally around a central point? A. Datum, B. Centrum, C. Radial, and D. Symmetry. And our correct answer is letter C. Radial. So radial balance is symmetry in several directions. Visual elements are arranged around the central point in the composition like the spokes on a bicycle wheel. This creates a sense of equilibrium and harmony in the design as the eye is naturally drawn towards the central point. Often, radially balanced designs are circular. This one is the radial balance, this is asymmetrical, and this is the symmetrical balance. Datum is a reference point or baseline used in design. Symmetry, on the other hand, means that while radial balance is a form of symmetry, it's important to distinguish between regular radial symmetry, where elements are identical around the center, and other types of symmetry. Radial balance encompasses a broader concept, where elements can vary while still maintaining a central focus. And then centrum might suggest a center point, but it's not a commonly used term in design to describe the specific type of balance. Number 2, which is defined as difference between elements within a work of art or composition. A. Intensity, B. Hue, C. Contrast, D. Variety. And our correct answer is letter C. Contrast. So contrast means the opposition or juxtaposition of dissimilar elements in a work of art to intensify each element's properties and produce a more dynamic expressiveness. It is the difference between elements within a work of art or composition, such that each element is made stronger in relation to the other. That is, light versus dark, rough versus smooth, or large versus small. It helps create visual interest, emphasis, and focal points. Number 3. What is the darkness or lightness of color? A. Hue, B. Intensity, C. Contrast, and D. Value. And our correct answer is letter D. Value. So value is the degree by which a color appears to reflect more or less of the incident light, corresponding to lightness of the perceived color. It refers to the lightness or darkness of a color, meaning a high value indicates a light color, while a low value means a darker color. So colors with low value are darker, called shades, and colors with high value are brighter, called tints. Another definition for value is the level of brightness or how light or dark is a color. Hue, on the other hand, refers to the actual color itself, like red, blue, or green, without considering its lightness or darkness. Intensity or saturation refers to the vividness or purity of a color, not its lightness or darkness. And contrast refers to the difference in lightness or darkness between two colors, not the lightness or darkness of a single color. Number 4. among the different design principles of balance, which is more complex and difficult to achieve? A. Spatial, B. Symmetrical, C. Hierarchical, D. Asymmetrical. And our correct answer is letter D, asymmetrical. So balance is a principle of design that refers to the distribution of visual weight in a composition to create a sense of stability and harmony. Asymmetrical balance requires careful consideration of visual weight, element placement, and creating harmony despite an equal distribution, making it more challenging to execute compared to symmetrical balance where elements are mirrored evenly. Number 5. What is a design principle wherein an architectural element appears more important in comparison to other elements in the design? A. Rhythm, B. Datum, C. Repetition, and D. Hierarchy. And our correct answer is letter D, hierarchy. The hierarchy is the articulation of importance or significance of a form of space through its size, shape, or placement relative to other forms and spaces within the design. It helps direct the viewer's attention to desired focal points and creates a visually engaging experience. Rhythm is the repetition of visual elements to create a sense of movement and pattern. It doesn't necessarily imply hierarchical importance, although elements with a stronger rhythm might appear more prominent within the overall design. Datum is a reference line or plane used to organize and align elements within a design. It doesn't directly establish hierarchy, although it can contribute to the overall structure and alignment of elements. Repetition involves repeating visual elements to create a pattern or consistency. While repetition can emphasize certain elements, it doesn't necessarily imply a hierarchy of importance unless combined with other design principles like size or color. Number 6. What is the art movement behind the celebration of industrial materials and the banishing of ornament in favor of a slick and machine-like aesthetic in architecture? A. Abstraction, B. International style, C. Futurism, and D. Modernism. And our correct answer is letter B, International style. So the international style is characterized by its minimalist approach, using primarily steel, concrete, and glass with clean lines and functional forms, mirroring the aesthetics of modern machinery. It is an art or architecture movement that emerged in the 1920s to 30s. Key features are emphasis on industrial materials like glass, steel, and concrete. No ornamentation as a rejection of decorative elements. And there is focus on function, clean lines, and a machine-like aesthetic. Famous architects will be Le Corbusier, Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, and Walter Gropius. While international style is considered a part of the broader modernism movement, modernism encompasses a wider range of artistic styles and ideas, not just the specific architectural aesthetics described. Abstraction refers to a style of art that focuses on simplifying forms and colors, not necessarily tied to industrial aesthetics or the rejection of ornament. And Futurism is an Italian movement that embraced the dynamism of technology and the future, often depicting futuristic machines and speed, but not necessarily with a focus on minimalist design. Number 7. What is the art movement that combined modernist style with fine craftsmanship and rich materials of many different styles in architecture? A. Modernism, B. Art Deco, C. Art Nouveau, and D. International style. And our correct answer is letter B, Art Deco. So Art Deco is known for its slick geometric designs, often incorporating luxurious materials like chrome, stainless steel, and exotic woods, while also embracing modern technology and aesthetics. Modernism is a broader term encompassing various artistic styles that emerged in the early 20th century, focusing on breaking away from traditional forms. While it can include elements of streamlined design, it doesn't necessarily emphasize the rich materials and craftsmanship characteristic of Art Deco. Art Nouveau is another modernist movement, but it leans heavily on organic flowing forms inspired by nature, rather than the geometric shapes and streamlined aesthetic of Art Deco. The International style is a more functional architectural style that emerged in the 1930s, prioritizing simplicity and functionality over ornamentation, which is in direct contrast to the decorative nature of Art Deco. Number 8. What is the shape used in architectural design that connotes stability, rigidity, and strength? A. Square, B. Quadrilateral, C. Circle, and D. Triangle. And our correct answer is letter D, triangle. So triangles are inherently stable structures due to their unique geometric properties. Their size and angles are fixed, meaning they cannot deform easily under pressure. This makes them ideal for supporting weight and resisting forces in architecture, particularly structures like bridges, roofs, and skyscrapers. Number 9. What are additive forms consisting of a number of secondary forms clustered around a center form? A. Clustered forms, B. Centralized forms, C. Grid forms, and D. Radial forms. And our correct answer is letter B, centralized forms. So a centralized form are secondary forms clustered about a dominant central parent form. It requires the visual dominance of a geometrically regular and central form, such as sphere, cone, or cylinder. It is ideal as freestanding structures isolated within their context, can embody sacred or honorific places. So it consists of a number of secondary forms clustered about a dominant central space. Clustered form, on the other hand, is a grouping of individual elements that are brought together through shared function, proximity, or visual traits. It differs from centralized or linear forms in its lack of geometric regularity and introvertness. Grid form is a system of two or more interesting sets of regularly spaced parallel lines. Most common grid is based on the geometry of a square. And radial form is a configuration where elements radiate outward from a central point, creating a network of connected spaces or forms. It combines elements of both centralized and linear organization, with a dominant core or center from which linear elements extend in a radial direction. Number 10. What is a form that has a square plan and the outside walls are in the form of four triangles that meet in a point? A. Prism, B. Pyramid, C. Polygon, D. Cone. And our correct answer is letter B, pyramid. So the pyramid is a polyhedron having a polygonal base and triangular faces meeting at a common point or vertex. Stable on any of its faces, basically hard and angular compared to the soft cone. A centralized form that has a broad base and tapers upward to a point or apex, forming a solid monumental shape that is stable, self-centering, and inwardly focused. Prism, on the other hand, has two parallel, identical polygonal bases connected by rectangular faces, not triangular sides converging to a point. Polygon is a 2D shape, not a 3D form. Cone is generated by revolving a right triangle about one of its sides, highly stable when resting on circular side and unstable on its tips. Has a circular base and a smooth curved surface, not for triangle faces. Number 11. In architecture, what is made out of a combination of dots that are continuous? A. Line, B. Form, C. Shape, and D. Pattern. And our correct answer is A. Line. So line is a point extended. It is the path of a moving point. A line is formed by a continuous series of dots. It is the most basic element in architectural drawing and design. Lines can define shapes, suggest movement, create textures, and indicate boundaries or directions. Line has length, direction, and position. Number 12. In architecture, what can mean a center or concentration of forms or objects near or close together? A. Center point, B. Dot, C. Landmark, and D. Focus. And our correct answer is B. Dot. So a dot is a concentrated position in space. When multiple dots or points are placed close together, they suggest a center or concentration, a gathering of forms or objects. Center point implies a precise central location, but not necessarily a concentration of surrounding forms. Landmark refers to a prominent object or structure used for navigation or visual reference, not a grouping. And focus refers to a visual or conceptual emphasis, not specifically the physical concentration of elements. Number 13. In architecture, what is perceived as an idea of how it looks and does not hold any mass? A. Shape, B. Form, C. Geometry, and D. Logos. And our correct answer is letter A, shape. So shape is the outline or surface configuration of a form. It is what we perceive when we look at an object, a 2D representation, an image without mass. It is visual and conceptual, not physical. A shape does not possess mass or volume, unlike form, which is three-dimensional and has mass. Form has mass and volume. It is the 3D aspect of an object. Geometry is a mathematical system of shapes, forms, and spatial relationships, not just visual perception. And logos refers to symbolic representations or reasoning, not visual shape. Number 14. In architecture, what is an area, height, mass, and more than one surface? A. Form, B. Shape, C. Structure, and D. Space. And our correct answer is A. Form. So form is the primary identifying characteristic of a volume. It has height, width, depth, and mass, and it is defined by surfaces that enclose space. It is three-dimensional. Shape is only 2D as area, but no height or mass. Structure refers to the framework or system that supports a form, not the visual physical volume itself. And space is the void or the volume contained or defined by forms. It doesn't have mass or surfaces on its own. Number 15. In architecture, what is defined as feel of the surface of an object and creates emotions? A. Tone, B. Tactile, C. Touch, and D. Texture. And our correct answer is letter D, texture. So texture is the visual and tactile quality of a surface. Tactile texture, or the actual surface quality that can be felt by touch, that is rough stone, smooth glass. Visual texture is the perceived texture which may look rough or smooth, but is not necessarily so to the touch. It can be influenced by light, shadow, color, and pattern. Texture affects the scale, light reflectance, and character of a surface, contributing to the sensory experience and spatial perception in architecture. Tone refers to the lightness or darkness of color, not the surface feel, and tactile describes the sense of touch, but it is not the architectural element itself. And touch is a sense, not a design element. Number 16. Which is not considered as form of spatial organization. A. Vertical, B. Radial, C. Linear, and D. Grid. And so our correct answer is A. Vertical. And these are the forms of spatial organization. We have centralized organization is a central dominant space about which a number of secondary spaces are grouped. We have linear organization is when a linear sequence of repetitive spaces. And radial organization means a central space from which linear organizations of space extend in a radial manner. And clustered organization are spaces grouped by proximity or the sharing of a common visual trait or relationship. And grid organization are when spaces are organized within the field of a structural grid or other three-dimensional framework. Number 17. The outer space that adjoins structures, usually paved and used for dining, is blank. A. Setback, B. Patio, C. Porch, and D. Walkway. And our correct answer is B. Patio. So a patio is an outer space adjoining a building, typically paved, and often used for recreation or dining. Number 18. What is not to be considered in space planning? A. Acoustics, B. Lot topography, C. Codes, and D. Building systems. And our correct answer is B. Lot topography. So space planning refers specifically to the interior organization of spaces based on functional relationships, circulation, and design intent. Lot topography is not part of space planning. It falls under site analysis or site planning. It refers to the external site condition like slope, grading, and elevation. Acoustics is considered space planning, especially spaces like offices, classrooms, or theaters where sound behavior affects function. Building safety codes such as fire exit accessibility would directly influence how space is laid out. And building systems, including HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, these are to be coordinated with space layout and use. Number 19. In space planning, which statement below is not relevant? A. Space planning is a process that takes several steps and is an important component for the works of architects. B. Space planning is an in-depth analysis of how physical space is used in a structure. C. Space planning is the efficient use of floor space of utilities. And D. Space planning helps ensure efficient use of floor space without wasting. And our correct answer is letter C. Space planning is the efficient use of floor space of utilities. So space planning is an in-depth analysis of how physical space is used in structures. It considers the purpose of spaces and who will use them, While utilities are coordinated during design, space planning itself focuses on arranging usable spaces like rooms, circulation, and adjacencies, not utilities. Organizing utilities, which refers more to building systems like electrical, plumbing, HVAC, is not the core function of space planning. Number 20. Space planning begins by gathering information such as, but not limited to, A. Purpose of structure of space. B. Local government development plan. C. Technical lot description. And D. Zoning ordinance. And our correct answer is letter A, purpose of structure of space. So space planning begins with gathering programmatic information. That is, understanding how the space will be used. It begins with identifying the purpose and use of the interior space. Understanding the purpose, like in residential, commercial, educational, guides the layout, relationships, and requirements of interior spaces. Number 21. The Salk Institute in La Jolla, California, where there is a balance of the buildings on either side, is a great example of which ordering principle of architecture. A. Symmetry. B. Formal balance. C. Rhythm. And D. Axis. And our correct answer is letter D, axis. So the Salk Institute by Louis Kahn is a classic example of the ordering principle of axis. It features two symmetrical laboratory buildings flanking a long central linear plaza, drawing the eye toward the Pacific Ocean. This strong central alignment embodies the principle of an architectural axis, not just symmetry. The spatial organization and processional quality emphasize directionality and focus. These are key traits of an axis. So an axis is a line established by 2 points in space, about which formed spaces can be arranged in a symmetrical or balanced manner. So this is the axis. A great example of this ordering principle is found in La Jolla, California, the Salk Institute, designed by architect Louis Kahn. This is in a building used for research facilities and office space. As you can see, there is a balance of the buildings on either side of the axis of the waterway, cutting through the courtyard. Number 22. What is the attribute of a color that shows the quality of a color's purity, intensity, or saturation? A. Chroma. B. Intensity. C. Contrast. And D. Hue. And our correct answer is letter A, chroma. So chroma is essentially synonymous with saturation in color theory, referring to how vivid or pure a color is, as opposed to its dullness or grayness. It describes the strength or purity of a color. High chroma means vivid color. Low chroma means dull or muted color. So hue is the color of the color, like red, orange, yellow, etc. And value means the lightness or tint or darkness or the shade of a color. Saturation or chroma is the intensity of the hue in the color. The saturated colors tend to look gray. While intensity is often used interchangeably with saturation chroma, it can also refer to the brightness of a color, which is more related to its value. Number 23. What is the identifying characteristics of a volume determined by the shapes and interrelationships of the planes? A. Solid. B. Volume. C. Mass. And D. Form. And our correct answer is letter D, form. So form is the primary identifying characteristic of a volume, and it is established by the shape and interrelationship of the planes that define its boundaries. Number 24. What is the balanced arrangement of similar elements such that the composition can be divided into similar halves by passing a plane at any angle along its central axis? A. Balanced symmetry. B. Bilateral symmetry. C. Radial symmetry. And D. Organized symmetry. And our correct answer is letter C. Radial symmetry. So radial symmetry is the balanced arrangement of elements around a central point or axis, where the composition can be divided into similar parts by multiple planes passing through the center. Radial symmetry refers to the balanced arrangement of similar rotating elements on opposite sides of a median axis so that only one plane can be divided into similar halves by passing a plane at any angle around a center point or along a central axis. Number 25. What is the principle that reflects the degree of importance of forms and spaces as well as the functional and symbolic roles they play in an architectural organization? A. Repetition. B. Rhythm. C. Datum. And D. Hierarchy. And our correct answer is letter D, hierarchy. Hierarchy is the principle that indicates the relative importance of a form or space by its size, shape, placement, or articulation. It reflects the functional and symbolic roles forms and spaces play in an architectural composition. Repetition involves the recurrence of elements to create unity or rhythm. And rhythm refers to movement or pattern through regular intervals or variation. And datum is a reference point, line, or plane used to organize forms or spaces. Number 26. What effect can the color red tend to produce on people? A. Violence. B. Passion. C. Excitement. And D. Aggressiveness. And our correct answer is letter B, passion. So the color red can produce both passion and excitement, among other strong emotions. While red is strongly associated with both, passion tends to be the more deeply rooted and pervasive association with the color red. So red is the color of passion and energy. Red draws attention like no other color and radiates a strong and powerful energy that motivates us to take action. It is also linked to sexuality and stimulates deep and intimate passion. Red is ubiquitously used to warn and signal caution and danger. So seeing red means feeling very angry. Number 27. Abstraction has been a fundamental principle of art in the A. 18th century, B. 21st century, C. 19th century, and D. 20th century. And our correct answer is letter D, 20th century. So abstract art, in its strictest sense, has its origins in the 19th century. Its roots trace back to the late 19th century, with artists like Paul Cézanne experimenting with breaking away from realistic depiction and focusing on forms, colors, and composition. However, abstract art became more prominent and fully developed in the 20th century. Abstraction became a fundamental principle of modern art and architecture in the 20th century, especially during movements like Cubism, the Still, and Modernism, where artists and architects strip down form to its essentials, focusing on basic geometric shapes, color, and space. Number 28. What is the term used in describing a diverse design idiom? A. Beaux Arts. B. Art Nouveau. C. Art Deco. And D. Expressionist. And our correct answer is letter A. Beaux Arts. So Beaux Arts architecture, originating from the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, is known for its eclectic nature. It draws from various historical styles, including French neoclassicism, Renaissance, and Baroque elements. This results in a wide range of designs, from grand public buildings to opulent private mansions. The style is characterized by symmetry, classical details, columns, pediments, and elaborate ornamentation. So this is the Palais Garnier, which was designed by architect Charles Garnier. So Art Nouveau is the style characterized by organic flowing forms inspired by nature, often with intricate floral motifs and curving lines. Art Deco is known for its geometric shapes, streamlined forms, and modern aesthetic. Expressionist, while it encompasses a range of styles, it's primarily characterized by its emotional and subjective expression through unconventional forms and materials. Number 29. What color is restful and warm but should be combined with orange or yellow? Otherwise, when used alone, produces a depressing effect. A. Purple. B. Brown. C. Black. And D. Blue. And our correct answer is B. Brown. So brown is considered a restful and warm color because it is grounded in earth tones. However, when used alone, it can create a dull or even depressing atmosphere. To counter this effect, it is suggested to combine it with warmer, brighter colors like orange or yellow to add vitality and contrast. So red tends to produce rage or passion. It is exciting and stimulates the brain. Yellow denotes gaiety, stimulating cheering to the lazy, upsetting to the nervous. And orange has stimulating effect and should usually be used in relatively small amounts. Brown is restful and warming but should be combined with orange, yellow, or gold because it could be depressing if used alone. And gray suggests cold and is also depressing unless combined with at least one livelier color. White is cheerful, particularly when used with warm colors like red, yellow. And purple is sedative and soothing. It suggests a stately or melancholy atmosphere. Blue is peaceful and tranquil, and green has a cooling quality and acts as a sedative. And lastly, what is a centralized concentrated form and normally stable in its environment? A. Globe. B. Cone. C. Sphere. And D. Cylinder. And our correct answer is C. A sphere. So a sphere is a solid generated by the revolution of a semicircle about its diameter. This rotation creates a three-dimensional, perfectly round shape, where every point on the surface is equidistant from the center. The sphere is described as centralized and concentrated form. It is equally extended in all directions from its center, making it a perfect example of stability and equilibrium in space. Because of its uniform geometry, it is seen as inherently stable in its environment. And that's it. So count the total number of your correct answers and check whether your answer is 15 or below. If that is your score, it is now time for a more strategic review, and you may consider enrolling at Atlas CD CDC Review Center for a more comprehensive course for the ALE review. And watch out for my succeeding videos as well.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.